with Iran, just like it should with all of its neighbors. But Iran's behavior in the past has been shaped by a strategy that is meant to keep Iraq weak and isolated. Isolated not just from the United States, but also isolated from all of Iraq's other neighbors. And we see this through implementation and political influence, by economic means, as well as by support of violent proxies or Iranian-backed militant groups that continue to attack the U.S. as well as Iraqi troops. So I think that the future is one that depends on continued dialogue between Iraq and Iran, and what we hope is that Iran will respect Iraq and respect Iraq's right to be stable, to be sovereign, and to be self-reliant. And if so, there's an opportunity for Iran to actually play a positive role to help Iraq move forward in the future. But if not, then obviously they could play a negative role, as they have much in the past. I can't speculate about exactly how it's going to go in the future, but I also believe that Iran's attempts at dominating Iraq in the past have backfired. And that's because the Iraqi people are proud. They're proud to be Iraqi. And they're not about to be dominated by anybody. So I think in order to help both countries move forward, Iran should respect Iraq and make a determination to help them move forward in a positive direction rather than to try to isolate them.
What do you know about how the Iraqis plan to mark the end of the U.S. troop presence in Iraq?
Well, I know that in the near future, obviously we have just a little over a month left before the United States Forces Iraq completes its withdrawal. And we are on track, by the way, to fully honor our commitment and have all of our forces and equipment out of the country by the end of the year. With less than 2 months left, obviously just a little bit more than a month left, I know that the government of Iraq is in fact planning to recognize the contribution of not just the United States, but also all of the coalition nations that have contributed to giving Iraq the opportunities that it has now. There has been a lot of sacrifice here over the years, sacrifice clearly by the Iraqi people, but sacrifice by the American people and their troops, as well as all of our coalition partners over the years. All of these sacrifices have led to a situation where the Iraqi people now have opportunities that they never had in the past. Opportunities to elect their own form of government, to choose their own form of government, to develop economically, and then use that economy for the betterment of all the people rather than just a corrupt political party. An opportunity to build a security forces that supports and protects all of the people rather than just a dictator. And so I think that the Iraqi people recognize these opportunities. My greatest hope is that they take advantage of the opportunities that they now have, but we also know that they want to recognize what they have in some sort of send-off here.
What about on the American side, in terms of the military? What are the plans for marking the end of this mission?
Well, within Iraq, clearly we will have a ceremony where we case our colors. The exact timing and location of that still does depend somewhat on our movements. I'll talk about that in a second. But we'll case our colors and take the opportunity to thank all of those who have contributed so much here over the years, and to really help show them that their sacrifices have paid off and given the Iraqi people a tremendous set of opportunities. We'll then, of course, complete our withdrawal, and the colors will go back. United States Forces Iraq will cease to be an organization once our troops fully redeploy. As far as our movement goes, we are now down to 8 bases, and this is from a high of 505 during the height of the surge, 92 at the start of Operation New Dawn, just a little bit more than a year ago. So we now have only 8 bases left. We're down to about 20,000 troops. And again, this is down from a high of 165,000 troops. And we kept between 45 and 49,000 for most of the last year. But we're on track completely to have all of our equipment redeployed, all of the bases transitioned to the government of Iraq, and all of our troops in fact, out of the country by the end of the year in accordance with the security agreement.
Has the war in Iraq been won?
You know, I've heard the question a number of times. Here's, if you look at the objectives that we set out with, clearly one of the initial objectives was to remove Saddam Hussein from power. That was done. That was done right away. Over time, if you go back and you look at General Austin's and Ambassador Jeffrey's vision, which actually flows directly from President Obama's desired state for Iraq, it's that the Iraq itself is stable, it's sovereign, and it's self-reliant. Now, I think when we look at each of these three desired states, the Iraqis have made incredible progress over the years. With stability, you know, we were averaging 145 attacks per day across the country in 2007. That's been down to less than 14 attacks per day for this year. So we're in the last about 10 a day for the last couple of months. So again, the level of violence is down and stability has increased. When you look at sovereignty, Iraq now controls all of its airspace. It controls civil aviation as well as military aviation. It maintains its sovereignty through entry of land and sea borders as well. But that doesn't mean that there's not work that needs to be continued to maintain both stability, to increase stability, and to increase sovereignty. As far as self-reliance, you know, we've seen tremendous growth in agriculture and modernization of agriculture, which, by the way, is the largest jobs-producing sector of Iraq's economy, and you know, the oil sector in both its ability to produce and export oil, refine oil for internal use. All of these have improved significantly over the years. But none of that has not the stability, the sovereignty, or the self-reliant is yet at such a stage that the Iraqi people deserve. So we've seen them make progress in each of these areas. I do believe that because of their continued partnership with the United States and their determination to do what's right for their people, they're going to continue to make progress. I think they're on the right road and they're going to continue to make progress, but there are challenges ahead. We don't yet know what all of those challenges are, and I can't predict exactly how it's going to work out in the future.
Just as a final question, what is your overall sense about the perception that other countries have of the U.S. military? Has that been enhanced or has that been hurt by the U.S.-led war in Iraq?
You know, honestly, I think that we have. I really can't address how they perceive us, other countries, whether it's ones that we have worked with here or around the world. But I can certainly talk how we perceive the militaries of other nations, to include the ones that here in Iraq that we have helped advise, train, assist, and equip for the last 8.5 years. I think that what we have learned is that we can make an incredible difference anywhere we go. But if we're gonna work with the people of another country, then we've got to be students of culture, students of our own culture, and students of theirs, if we're going to effectively work together to find common solutions. And so we have adapted many, many times over the years. We are a learning organization, and we apply our lessons. You know, after every rotation, a unit comes back from Iraq or Afghanistan, it puts into practice everything it has learned, and so we continue to improve again and again and again. Much of what we learn is from what we see in other militaries and certainly the civilians we work with. All of the forces from other countries that I've served with here over the years, I think that we have worked to understand each other. We've helped them, and they've helped us gain a wider perspective as well. But as far as what the view of those countries of the U.S. military in general, you know, I hate to make a generalization about that.
All right. That's going to be it for today. Once again, thank you so much. And just sometime in the coming weeks, I'm certainly would be interested in hearing your thoughts on an overview of the Iraq War in terms of how that has changed the U.S. military in terms of policy and strategy, kind of how you've incorporated the lessons learned from the war.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, we've got a lot to talk about there. So clearly, it's affected so much. It's affected how we're organized, how we look at ourselves, how, the type of equipment we employ, even our structure, as well as how we work with other nations, and how we share information across the different agencies, the close partnerships we've built up working with the State Department, the various intelligence agencies that we really didn't have before. So yeah, I'd be happy to talk to you about that.
All right. Once again, thank you so much, and I hope to talk to you again soon.
Okay, happy Thanksgiving. Soon to be.
Oh, and likewise.
Okay, bye, Deborah.